All right, so Jack Frost, thank you so much for being here on the All Bets Are Off podcast, man. I'm so happy to have you here.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be awesome.
Well, I want to start back your earliest memories of rock and roll because I want to know what your introduction to rock and roll actually was.
What really started me into rock and
Yeah.
roll?
Hmm.
Wow, dude, you're going to really crack up when I tell you the true story. Most people, everyone says Kiss, right?
Hmm.
Like, let's be honest. Okay, yeah, Kiss was a big influence, of course, and I had an older brother that his name is Peter, and he had a couple of records that I love, like The Doors, and he had Morrison Hotel, he had Zeppelin 2, and I always looked at those records. I thought, oh, this looks really cool. But what really hit me hard, we used to have a show called Solid Gold. Okay, it was like I don't know if you remember that, but it was like a lot of bands would come on it, but they would be lip syncing, but it was really cool. I remember being a kid and Hall and Oates came on. I'll never forget this to this day. So here's Daryl Hall with this big mane of hair. He looked like a rock star. And they played this song called Your Kiss Is on My List.
Hmm.
I remember watching the video, and this was live. It was like one of the first bands to do it. Like G.E. Smith was playing guitar and, John Oates. And they start this song off. Dude, I go, what is this? I said to my mom and dad, from that moment on, that's what I'm going to do for a living. That's all I want to do. And it's funny. People are like, oh, Zeppelin, Sabbath, Rainbow. I love very much influence, but I think that video or that 3 minutes and 38 seconds on TV was really the moment that I go, wow. I just thought Daryl was like the coolest. Like he was just so cool. I know it sounds funny. People are like, really? Hall and Oates? Oh, sorry, that's my
No,
dog.
that's awesome though because you're right. A lot of people do say Kiss. I'd say probably about 90% of the guys that I talk to say Kiss right off the rip, and including guys that we have mutual friends, Joey Casada and Steve Brown and PJ Farley. Like they all
Yeah,
automatically Kiss.
dude. Listen. I always say like, I remember being a kid, and my dad would always give me like a little allowance, and we had something. I'm not sure where you're like what area you're from, but we had a big department store called Two Guys.
Hmm.
So Two Guys was like Walmart back in the 70s and like early 80s. I would go there with my parents. We would go shopping. You could buy sneakers, you could buy clothes, you could buy food, and they had a record department. And I bought double platinum with my own money. I'll never forget that because it was a fold out LP, and you can look at yourself because it was like chrome, and like I used to look at it and going, look, that's me in that picture. But on the back it said Kiss plays Gibson, Ludwig, or was it no Kid? It was Gibson, Pearl, and Marshall because they wanted the best. And I always remember, I said, I'm going to have a Gibson Les Paul one day. I'm going to have a Marshall. It's just funny. Like that band was, I was in the Kiss Army like everybody else.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny that you brought up that album because I literally have my double platinum vinyl sitting right over here right now.
Dude, that's probably worth a lot of money now because it's like, all my records, like, unfortunately, I had a studio in my basement, and you know what happened with the records. They all got warped, and,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I still had it.
Dude, you know what? And it's funny too because vinyl's making such a comeback now, but I don't I don't care to get the repressings. Like I just want the originals. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
you know what I mean? I'd rather go to like a secondhand store and buy the originals than get the brand new mint condition one that got printed yesterday. You know
Right,
what I
right.
mean?
Well, you know what? And I have a lot of friends that are like really into like this remaster or remixed albums. And honestly, man, no disrespect. Yeah, I've heard a couple of remaster albums. Yeah, I mean, I get it because like you, we record, and I have a studio and I use Pro Tools, all stuff. But I like it if it's not broken. I mean, I get it. Okay, the bass is like low on this song, or this is brighter. I don't know, man. I like the original. I don't really like the remasters as much as everybody else does.
Yep,
And
yep.
like you, but if you could find a secondhand store these days, because we used to have a great place called Vintage Vinyl, It was like everybody, like all my friends that would come to Europe, they go, "You got to take me to Vintage Vinyl." It just closed down, and
Oh.
that was really sad. That was like one of the last real, not mom and pops. It was definitely bigger than a mom and pop store,
Hmm.
but it was one of those stores where you could go buy everything. And it was, they had you go to New York. We used to go to Zounds for like 99 cents, and you get, you get a million records. You're
Oh
gonna love
yeah.
this. I gotta look at this.
Getting in on the interview
That
over here.
that's Brody. He's just hanging out, I guess. I guess he's gonna hang out with me here.
All right, I dig it. So let's take it back to you said Solid Gold. So like, do you remember how old you were when you saw that Hall and Oates song?
Yeah, dude, I had to be like what, 12 to 13,
Mm.
12 to 14, maybe no, not much older than 12, 13. Yeah.
So how do you so you decide like, okay, this is the moment. This is what I'm going to do. I want to be a rock star. So what's the path you take? What's the first thing? Like first do you decide like I'm going to sing or I'm going to play guitar? Like what ran through your head?
Oh, that's just cool, man. No one ever asks me this. They're always just like boom, boom, right into like, what have you done like in the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Well, I have to be honest with you. I was a huge jock growing up too. I
Mm.
love sports. I was very into sports. So it was very hard for me because I love music so much and I also love sports. But I'll be honest with you. This is a good one. I was a little fat kid. Like I was, no, dude, I'm being honest with you. Um, I was I'm short. So, I was stocky. I was like 13 years old and I was probably 235 pounds. And
Oh
I was
wow.
really short. Um, I love sports, football, baseball. I got hurt playing football. I blew both my knees out when I was 13 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was in bed, no kidding. Like I couldn't go to school, I couldn't walk. I had both of my knees reconstructed. So I was in
Wow.
bed like literally for 8 months. But before that, I had a drum set. So I grew
Mm.
up in Jersey City. And, back in those days, we all lived in big apartment buildings, and having your own house wasn't like a normal thing in the city because it's like New York. I was literally a quarter ride. I could be in New York City.
Mm.
What happened was I had a drum set, and my parents were like, well, that's great, but you can't you play something else? So I started guitar. So my
Mm.
dad, long story short, my dad was a Jersey City cop, believe it or not.
Wow.
I go, I want a guitar, I want a guitar. And he comes home one night with an acoustic, a Yamaha acoustic. And I'm lefty. Okay. So, here's a right guitar. And he's like, well, I'm not going to go buy you a guitar until you really, so get used to it. Try this first. Best thing that ever happened to me because I play righty, so it's weird. I play like normal. Well, not normal. I mean, you could play lefty, but I was ambidextrous, so I could
Mm.
throw a ball with my right. I could write with my left. I would kick with my left. I would bat this way. It was weird.
Mm.
So before we get into that, it kind of helped me because most people, if you're lefty, that's going to be your picking hand, right?
Yeah.
So for me, my left hand was my fingering hand, which kind of worked in it better because my right hand, where you would pick, where you would make fingering, was my strumming. So I got a weird picking thing from it. So that was kind of like a plus. And then right after that, my dad saw that, okay, this is what you want to do. So, a year goes by, I'm stuck in bed. All I could do is play guitar.
Oh
That's all,
wow.
and that's what really did it to me. So, I just played and listened to records and watched. We didn't have like, I say the kids today are so lucky to have YouTube, to have, the only thing we had was something called U68. It was this station on local, like, remember like PBX and stuff. They had Sesame Street on and stuff.
Yeah.
So Friday nights at midnight, I always remember this. U68 would play 1 hour of metal. So it would be bands like, like never heard before, like Razor from Canada.
Mm.
And this is when TNT just got Tony Harnell as I got a little bit older. So I would watch that. And that's what really influenced me a lot. I mean, I have to say, but that's way before MTV even came along.
So
So
how does that lead into you getting into your first band. So you're laid up for 8 months. You're listening to music. You're playing guitar. You're getting better. You're getting better. So how old are you when you're like, man, I need to find some guys to do this with?
Okay, so I was about 14, 14 and a half, and there was a band called Desire. Okay. Their biggest thing was uh Jersey's youngest rock band. Okay. So a friend of mine named Andrew Harillik, um, he was a drummer, and he went on to later on, the guys who will know this band called a band called Sittin' Pretty. They were really cool. They were the New Jersey band. They should have broke really big, and they were great, man. They were like Kiss meets Aerosmith.
Mm.
So I go down for an audition, and of course, I have to say, dude, I had the best mom and dad in the world. They were so supportive of me. Like, seriously, here's a kid. My hair at 13, I had hair past my shoulders already. My dad took me for and like I said, my dad was a cop. So
Yeah.
my dad took me for a tattoo when I was 13 years old.
No
Like,
shit.
yeah. So he was like, this was his vibe. If you really want to do this, my dad was a professional actor too at one time. He was on like soap operas and a lot of off Broadway things. So I
Mm.
think what happened was I came along, and he got he got a job, and he kind of couldn't do the arts full time, but he
Mm.
still got that was his love. So I think he kind of helped me a lot with mine. And, a lot of his friends are like, look at your kid. He's got long hair, tattoos. He's probably a drug addict.
Mm.
The deal with my dad was this, and my mom too: don't mess up, do what you're supposed to do, don't get in trouble, and I don't care if you grow your hair or your ass. And I mean, yeah, dude, I was 14, 15. Of course I did stupid stuff, but
Mm.
never anything where I never got arrested. So they pushed me hard. So he takes me down. My dad took me everywhere. He had a big old town and country station wagon with the wood on the side.
Yeah.
So he bought me my first, half stack, and first real guitar he got me was a Fender Telecaster Deluxe. It was like,
Mm.
it looked like a piece of furniture, like brown wood with two humbuckers in a telly, which is kind of weird. So I went down, I auditioned. We did Living After Midnight,
Mm.
Breaking the Law, and we did Flirting with Disaster for Molly Hatchet.
Wow.
So I just remember that because that was like my first real thing playing with the band. And I got the gig because, I was young because there wasn't
Mm.
a lot of kids. So I did that for about 6 months to 8 months. And then I kind of just started to do other things and meet a lot of people where I lived. And my first year, I went to a Catholic high school. And then I got kicked out my first year because they kind of said, my parents came to the end of the year and they said, listen, kid's got good grades, doesn't cause us any problems, but can't have his hair long. We used to take our hair and put it up with bobby pins because you had to, when you went to a Catholic school, it had to be above your collar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I transferred to Dickinson High School, and I met so many cool people there. Like, I'll always remember this. My music teacher was Mr. Uavella, and I never went to class, man. I'll be honest with you. I was a terrible student. He would call me down every day for music lessons. We would hang out. He did this really cool thing my sophomore year. We had a battle of the bands in our auditorium. And
That's cool.
I wasn't there yet playing wise,
Hmm.
but I sang. And that was kind of like, I just knew it, man. It really was. I just loved it so much
Hmm.
to this day. Like,
Well, I was gonna say it's obvious that you still love it. Even just seeing you jamming on the Monsters Rock cruise, like you're still very much in your element. And you said in that Battle of the Bands that you were doing at that age, you were singing. So when did you realize you could sing?
I wouldn't really call it singing. I was doing something. No, but we only did like, oh my God, we did I Don't Know from Ozzy. We did We're
Mm.
Not Gonna Take It from Twisted Sister, maybe, if I remember. And I mean, I don't think I have a great voice, but I have a really good mid range. So I've always sang, like, backups really good. I just noticed that I could sing. I could carry a tune. So, like I said, singer no, but I could, I definitely I could play guitar and hear melody lines,
Mm.
which kind of what really worked for me. And like, moving way ahead before we get into it, but I taught for a long time. I ran a school of rock for many years, and
Mm.
I always told my students this one thing. I never look at myself like Ingve or Randy Rhoads. Those guys are a different animal. Okay.
Mhm.
I think I'm a solid blue collar player. I learn my songs. I do what I'm supposed to do, but I think I get a lot of work because I can sing backups. And I
Mhm.
try to tell any student, guitar, bass, keyboards, make sure you learn to sing backups. That's stupid. I can tell you why. There could be 100 guys online auditioning for whatever, for Ozzy.
Mhm.
They're going to ask questions. And I feel that you have that little extra thing. Oh, you can sing? Dude. Oh, you play some keyboards? That just, like it's
Yeah.
people look for that. I'm not a utility guy. Like I can't play like Michael T. Ross on keyboards. That guy's phenomenal. Or Tyson. Like the dude's a musical genius. I mean, but I can do enough stuff that if you need me to do something like pads or something, I could do it. And
Mhm.
that really, like Robbie, that really helps out with what you do later on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So when would you say you finally had like, let's just call it your first like break where you went, oh yeah, okay, so things are starting to happen for me now on a bigger scale. He really wants to be a part of
He
this
really,
interview. I love it.
I mean, we should just put his name in there and stuff. He never like, dude, he never comes by me like this when I'm on my phone or anything. He's just like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly.
um, my big break. Okay. Um, I was in this band, like I said, Desire. I told you later on.
Mhm.
So there was this big band in New Jersey. I mean, when I say big band, like we had something called SOU. Okay, it was a big radio station, and they broke bands like King's X and
Mm.
all these. They were very like Triumph. They played a lot of metal. Like it was a college radio station. See, but everybody listened to it. So when I was about 18, 19, almost 20, I wasn't legal yet. Bands like Xenon, I don't know if you remember these bands, Xenon, American Angel, Cleavage, Kid Gloves, they were really big. Like, and this is like right when TT Quick and Twisted Sister stopped being cover bands because, dude, like I didn't even get into it. My dad would take me at 16 years old to like places I shouldn't be allowed to go into to see White Tiger.
Mm.
I saw Prophet when they were a cover band. I mean, so that, and I saw TT Quick before, Medal of Honor even came out. They were
Mhm.
playing ACDC, Accept. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, so there was a band called Ritual. Okay. They were another band, and the singer's name was Bill Farley. One of my dearest friends now, Scullman, Derek Taylor, he plays guitar for Overkill now. He was the bass player back in those days. So I'll make this quick. Billy, they go play Narcissus in Boston, okay? And they're opening up for Extreme. This is before Extreme even broke, okay? This is like when they were just up and coming.
Mhm.
So we went out to this place called Narcissus. It was a very popular place in Massachusetts. And I took the ride and I went with them. And I'm like, man, this band's so cool, Ritual. And they had a couple of songs on the radio. And then a couple of months later, the band dissolved. Like everyone left. And Billy, the singer, calls me up and goes, would you like to check this out? And now I just moved to Matawan from Jersey City, and I started to play in this band called Lacey Page. And this became my best friend in the whole world. Joe Catano was the drummer. And they we're kind of like a cover band meets like Aerosmith.
Mhm.
So we were starting to play like the local Jersey things, Close Encounters and Mingles. For people that don't know those places, this is where Zach Wilde started with Zyrus. This is where like Skid Row would play with Matt Fallon singing. So
Oh
this is
wow.
yeah, this is pre Sebastian and everything. So and like I said, this is when Zach was 80 pounds wet, like
Yeah.
and he looked like Randy Rhoads. What a
Mhm.
great player, man! They were great to go see these bands. So I started to join this band, Lazy Page,
Mhm.
um, and me and the drummer just became the best of friends. So when Billy called me about auditioning, or I don't even think it was an audition, he goes, "Learn these songs." I brought Joe in, and I brought my friend Eric in, and then that was my big break. I got to play like Close Encounters, Mingles, the Playpen. We had a big club called the Birchill. The
Mhm.
Birchill was if you played the Birch Hill, you were going somewhere. So that was, so Ritual was my first real, like really, really big thing.
So how does that lead you into, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but Seven Witches?
Wow. Well, what happened was another thing about me was a little different. Most of my friends, when they were growing up, wanted to learn how to be Jimmy Page, wanted to
Mhm.
be Randy Rhodes. Don't get me wrong. Randy Rhodes, I got my Randy Rhodes shirt on. I mean, I will always say this. I will always send a nod out to Brian Tishy for inviting me twice to play the Randy Rhodes tributes. That was some of the coolest. I mean, because I love Randy and I became friends with Randy's sister and brother. So um, I wanted to be original. I've
Mhm.
always wanted to be original. I wasn't the guy sitting there learning every Ingve. I wanted to write my own songs. So people are like, you're not going to go far with that. I go, that's what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
So Ritual was doing pretty well, and I wanted to do my own thing. So I started this band called Frostbite with my drummer and my bass player. So that was, we wrote all the songs. I learned, and here, you probably don't even know this. My first record, it was called Icy Hell.
Mhm.
Jeff LaBar, God rest his soul. I will always, I said to his son, Sebastian, your father will always have a place in my heart. He came to my house in Mattawan. Here's Jeff LaBar. Cinderella was huge, okay? Huge at the
Yeah.
time. I mean, this is after Night Songs, and this is like their third record. So he came to my
Wow.
house, heard the songs, and he helped me rearrange them. He produced our first record.
Wow. That is
Yes.
awesome.
So yeah, and I remember because my mom's parents are right from Sicily, right? My mother had this thing. You come to my house, you're gonna eat.
Yep.
So Jeff comes over. He goes, "Oh my God, your mother makes some like big ziti and daddy manja manja." So that band was my stepping stone. I got to do a lot of stuff with that. We signed with a label called Neat Metal out of UK, which is Jess Cox from uh, um, what's that band? Tigers of Pantang. John
Okay.
Sykes' first big band.
Hmm.
So after that, I wanted to do something heavier. Like, for I was a listen, man, growing up, I was a hair guy. All my friends were into like Master of Puppets. And don't get me wrong, dude, I love Metallica, I love
Hmm.
Pantera, but I was hairspray, makeup, and I couldn't sit in my car. Like,
Yeah.
that's but that, and I would get made fun of all the time. Like people would be like, "Oh, poser." I go, I'd be the poser at a Manowar show in Lemore's, standing there with like Death to Force Metal and I walk. I didn't care because I loved it. So I was into guys like Warren DeMartini,
Yeah.
George Lynch, Shanker. Those are the guys that I loved. But I mean, they had the look and they could play.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to do something more in like because I love Old Priest, I love Old Maiden, and that's how for us, as the Seven Witches came, I wanted to do something heavier,
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
but
So,
still melodic. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it. That was the weird thing. That's why I think Seven Witches did really well with our first album because if you think about like Defenders of the Faith or even Number of the Beast,
Hmm.
there were songs were heavy, but they had hooks.
Absolutely.
That's why I say I love Dokken and Rat because I feel that they took the heaviness. Like you listen to some of those songs, like the guitars are aggressive,
Yeah.
but the melodic of the voice, that's what it was.
Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean because that kind of bridges the gap between hair metal and like metal bands such as like
Mm-hmm.
Iron Maiden. And that's why people like you and I, because I'm like a huge hair guy. I love the hair metal stuff is just always going to be my favorite. It's like in my
Yeah, me
blood.
too. Yeah.
But
And
like,
I know people get mad, right? You say hair metal.
yeah,
I don't understand why. Don't get me wrong, dude. I don't know why that's a taboo thing to say.
I
Like,
agree.
I mean, you know what? Metallica had hair.
Yeah.
Just and honestly, like one of my dearest friends, and I don't. And please, for the people listening, I don't drop names to drop names. I'm not that guy. When I say to my friends, they're like my friends. Like we don't do music. We're bros. Like so. I did a band with Dee Dee Verney from Overkill called the Bronx Casket Company.
Mm.
And I always joke. He's always like, oh, my first day for like we played, my guitar's up here. He's like, that's got to go down, bro. You can't. You look like one of those, and more it was lower and lower. And
Yeah.
now, that's how I play now. But if you look at old Overkill pictures, or even like people don't even get this. Look at Alice in Chains.
Yes.
They were again, people, oh, I hate hair metal. Like, oh, dude, Wayne's hair was huge.
Yeah.
And look at Blitz and Dee Dee. The first, before even Overkill broke, they were putting on Kiss shows like in small places. I mean, that was the cool thing. I do say, I have a lot of respect for Dee Dee and Blitz because I was a younger kid, and they helped me a lot with my career. Like they were, but they did it because they were friends. They didn't do it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they weren't out to get anything. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
hey, when you make it, we expect this. They just did it because they were good dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Now, I want to stay. So you just dropped another band that I was going to ask you about, the Bronze Casket Company, but I wanted to bridge the gap between that, Seven Witches, and Savatage. So can you like walk me through how Savatage comes along?
Okay, so Seven Witches was my first, I would say, really big. I mean, and when I say really big, I mean they flew us to Germany,
Hmm.
to Hagen, to like this amazing Woodhouse Studios with Ziggy Bam that did you name it, he did it. Okay, so here I am. I don't know nothing, dude, about any of this. So I learned a lot from him. So Seven Witches comes out on Massacre. They take really good care of us. And then I became friends with the guys at Massacre, and that's how like Dee Dee had a studio called Gear Rehearsal. It was
Hmm.
in Red Bank. So a lot of bands, Symphony X rehearsed there, Overkill rehearsed there. So they all had their own rooms. Keith Roth, he had a band called Bad Biscuit, and Tony Bon Jovi was pushing them pretty hard. They had a room there. So it was like this little place where all the local guys were like, Jay and Silent Bob would walk in all the time. It was that, yeah. I mean it. I mean, Jay would come in all the time, stoned off his ass. It was so cool. So Dee Dee said, "Oh, I want to do this band. I want to try something different." I'm like, "Oh, I'll play guitar." So, and for me, it was a whole different thing because Casket's very typo
Hmm.
meets, it's very trouble, and I loved it. So, in the midst of it all, I'm doing all this. I did another band called Speed. That's with the guys from. I was a huge Annihilator freak. Like, Set the World on Fire to me is one of the greatest, like, real metal records. And I love the singer, and I love Ray Hartman, the drummer. So I did a record with them, and this is all through Massacre.
Okay.
So Chris Caffery from Savatage was in a
Mm.
band. I don't know if you remember this band called Metallium.
I don't.
Okay, so you should check them out. If you like Halloween
I
meets.
do.
Okay, so it's very Halloween meets Judas Priest. Okay,
Oh, wow.
so it was Chris, it was Mike Tirana on drums. I mean, Mike Tirana. So they were on Massacre. They did their first record. So Chris knew me from, we knew each other because, I mean, Chris was in Heaven. Chris was in Dirty Looks. I mean, Chris was a local hero from a lot of people, like people, and so long story, this will make it really easy. Chris calls me out of nowhere. Goes, listen, this band Metallium's going on tour with
Mhm.
Primal Fear. So it's Primal Fear, Metallium, and remember that band Synergy? Yeah, so they were opening up. Chris goes, Jack, I can't do the tour. They need a guitar player. I think you'd be the perfect guy. So here's Chris. He didn't really know me. And I always say, thank you, bro. That was friends, man. People just are good to each other.
Mhm.
So I reach out to the bass player. His name is Lars. He goes, okay, you'll have a plane ticket in a week. Learn this stuff. I'm like, huh? It was just like that. He goes, I love the Seven Witches record. Okay. Fly over to Germany. First tour ever. Like, I mean, I toured a lot in the States. Never have I done a tour like this, a bus tour. This
Mm.
was all over Europe, open, and Primal Fear was huge. Like, just they broke by then. So I go over there, I do the tour. After the tour, I'm like, oh, that was really a lot of fun. And the bass player goes, well, Chris can't come back. He's too busy because TSO just started to start. And now, I mean, look what's that become, man. That is like,
Yeah.
that's not a, that's a whole different brand enterprise, right?
Yeah.
So they invite me to join the band. I'm like, awesome. I'm still doing Seven Witches,
Hmm.
but Battalion was going to be my band. So I go over there. I work on the second record. I do the second record. Everything's going great. Boom, boom, boom. We go on a tour. Chris calls me. Hey, dude, you got to get home right away. I go, what's going on? He goes, really can't tell you, but I need you to get home as quick as you can. I said, Chris, we start a tour in 2 days. I can't do that. He goes, you're going to be sorry if you don't come home. I said, brother, even if you told me I was joining Judas Priest, I can't do that to somebody. I gave these guys my word.
Hmm.
We're already rehearsed. So he goes, all right, I'm just going to tell you something. Al Petrelli got the Megadeth gig. Zach's not going to be able to do the tour. We have a new singer. Poets and Man is coming out. He goes, we're looking for a guitar player. I'm like, wow. He goes, and we have a couple of guys in mind. And he goes, you were one of the names that brought up. And like, I can't 100% say this is true. This is what I heard. Because you know how things come. I heard that Vinnie Moore was up for the gig. When
Hmm.
I heard that, I said, okay, I don't even know why you're wasting your time calling me. Like, Vinnie Moore is, he's one of those guys, pentatonic. What mode do you want it in? Boom, like that. Okay, he's that guy. I'm like, give me a minute. Let me feel it. Okay, I got to think a little bit. These
Hmm.
guys don't think. This is just like, it's Josh Allen. Boom, touchdown. You know what I mean? It's like, notice I'm a Giants fan, but I won't, because I don't have a quarterback like Josh Allen. So
And you're talking to a guy from Buffalo right now,
that's
so.
why I had to, but I told you I love the Bills. You probably hate the Giants though.
Yeah. I
Twice.
don't. I don't.
So I said, dude, so I heard it was Vinnie Moore, Mike from Riot was one
Mm.
of the guys, and then like again, I can't say this is 100% fact. I heard it was the guitar player from Zebra, which I was like,
Mm.
wow, that guy could sing, play. So I said, I'm sorry. He goes, well, Paul O'Neill's going to be very bummed out because I told him Chris really pushed me. Okay. He
Hmm.
pushed me for this gig. So I do the tour. I come home, 2 days home, calls me up. What are you doing? I said, I'm home. He goes, good. Get your ass to New York to SIR tomorrow. I said, for what? He goes, just come down. What songs do you know? I go, well, I know I'm a old Sabotage guy. Like, I'm like, Power of the Night, Hall the Mountain King. Like, that's what I mean, don't get me wrong. Everything they did with Zach and Al, even with Skolnick, is amazing.
Hmm.
But me, like you have your eras. Like to me, 24 Hours Ago, Strange, all those songs. I mean, those songs. I mean, they're timeless. So, I sit in my house. I'm trying to go over as much as I can in 24 hours. I'm thinking like, this is gonna be terrible. I mean, if I had a week just to kind of, okay. Here, next day, I drive to the city, I park my car, go into SIR. I walk in, and the first person I see is the Mountain King. I look up, and dude, listen, there's a fan moment there, okay? And
Hmm.
I'm not embarrassed to say it. People are like, oh, it's like, well, I guess you're better than everybody. Me, I'm still a fan of music, okay?
Yeah.
So there's John, and he goes, the way John talks, how you doing there, Frost? And I'm like, I'm okay there, Mountain King. Nice to see you. There is Jeff Plate. I will still say that he's one of the greatest drummers I've ever had the luxury to play with. And what a good guy. What a great guy. There was no bass player.
Mm.
Johnny wasn't there, Middleton, but there was Chris. So I walk in, and he goes, all right, let's go plug in by John. I'm like, okay. I'm looking to my left, and there's the Mountain King. So he goes, all right, Frost, what do you want to play? I'm like, what do I want to play? Okay. So we do a little bit of Handful of Rain. We do a little bit of 24 Hours Ago, a little bit of Warriors, and that's it. Like, I'm gonna say it was 12 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right. They're like, well, thanks a lot for coming down, dude. I'm like, oh, okay. That's it. I get in my car. I'm like, well, bomb that one out. But to me, it wasn't a bomb. To me, it was, I got to be in a room with a band that I had Hold the Mountain King on tape, cassette tape.
Mm. Hmm.
That thing was so ruined because I kept playing it and playing it. So, dude, I go back to my normal life, working on a new Witches record.
Hmm.
Boom, boom, boom. 2 weeks go by. I thought it was over. Okay. I go see Symphony X at L'Amour's. Like this, I love this story. So I go see Symphony X at L'Amour's. Caffrey texts me, "Oh, I'm going to be at L'Amour's. You coming tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I go there. They're on stage, and Chris comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, there's a phone call for you." Huh? Gives me his phone. I'm like, hello? He's like, "Hey, Frost, it's the Mountain King." Like, you don't know it's the Mountain King, right?
Right.
I mean, it's John. He goes, "So listen, you want to be in the band?" I'm like, "What band?" He goes, "Sabotage, you asshole." I said, yeah. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I wanna send a big shout out if this is okay.
Yeah.
Chris Caffrey was very honest with me. Chris Oliva, I will say this, is one of the most amazing guitar players that ever touched this earth. I don't feel he ever got the due respect that he deserves. What that guy wrote, what that guy played, and the stories that John and Chris would tell me about Chris and Middleton, and they would, it was such a experience to learn about Chris. But
Mm.
Caffrey told me that Oliva would take his time out and show Chris how he played everything. Do you know, for the month before we went on tour, Chris would have me come to his house and sit with me. And I would learn how I heard it.
Yeah.
And then he would show me how Chris played it.
Oh,
No,
wow.
how many people do that? Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I'll never forget that. And every time I see him, it's there because he didn't have to do that. Learn it, but he wanted us to be good. The whole
Yeah.
band, and you know what, man? They made me feel like a family. And I love those guys for it. I I can't tell you what those 2 years were like. We toured on that Poets thing. We went everywhere. Our first tour, we had Fates Warning out with us. Joey Vera was the bass player in Seven Witches.
Mhm.
That was so much fun. We all over Europe. We went out. We opened up for Priest with
Oh,
Ripper
wow.
singing. Oh, dude, it was. We went to Brazil. I mean, they're going to Brazil in a month, and Chris
Mhm.
always posting stuff like we haven't been there since 2001, and that's the tour we did.
Mm.
And I'm people are like, "Oh, how do you feel? Are you bitter about it?" I go, "No, that was Al Petrelli's band. He's been there. He's supposed to be there, and I want that, dude. I'm so happy for them because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
That's and people are like, "Oh, you must be mad." How can I be mad? It's a band that at least I can go like this. I have a little bit of history with that band, and people just don't get that. I think sometimes they're just so about themselves they don't realize like, dude, I'm some snot nosed kid from New Jersey, and I got to join one of my favorite bands of all times.
Right, and that's the thing is you keep hitting it on the head is to continuing to be a fan of what you're doing, and I know firsthand even from just a few weeks ago on the ship when everybody's standing side stage for Night Ranger, and it's everybody from every band, including Sebastian Bach, screaming, singing the words to Night Ranger songs because everybody's still a fan, and
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
it is. And you know what? It's funny you say that. Um, Now, for me, playing for Aldenova is crazy because 82, I saw him like 68, 78. I was 14,
Wow.
14 years old. My keyboard player from Charlie Cal from Angel,
Hmm.
we didn't know each other yet. We went to the convention hall in Asbury Park. It was Blue Oyster Cult with Aldenova opening up.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't even know who Aldenova was. All I know is after that show, I was like, what is this? He's awesome, And I don't know if you know, I was talking to Paul Taylor from Winger.
Hmm.
That's Paul Taylor on that tour.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
He's the original keyboard player from that record.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, and he's always like that was great. And it's dude, talk about being fans. When Aldo told me he hasn't seen Paul 25, 30 years. So he sees him on the
Wow.
cruise. You know how cool that was? He's just like,
Oh my God.
yeah. So it was, but you know, so for me, here we are, first night of the, you know, we're on the cruise. Who's in the front row? Sebastian.
Yeah.
Singing. He's like out of his mind. He's like, dude, Aldo Nova. I mean, think about it. He's from Toronto.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
how big was Aldo in Canada?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well, let's stay on that for a minute before I backtrack to some other things that we were just talking about. Is you now playing with Aldanova? So, um, one, how long have you been with him? And two, how did you end up with that gig?
oh, okay. So this is a good one. So what's COVID now? 4 years?
Yeah, I think so.
4 years? Okay. So right when COVID hit, right?
Hmm.
Maybe it was just before. Um, I'm a little old sometimes. I forget my dates and stuff. You know, it happens. I have senior moments. So he puts a new video out called Survivor, right?
Hmm.
So Brave Word and Bloody Knuckles puts this song out. They're always they're that magazine always so good to their Canadian artists. I love Canadian bands, so I was like, whoa, this is cool. And Tim Gaines from Striper was
Hmm.
on bass. So I don't know why I did this. I I'm not a phone guy. I'm not an Instagram guy. I have become, because you know it better than anybody. You got to promote what you're doing, and it's
Yeah.
not even that. Just to you have a lot of friends that will reach out to each other that way.
Yep.
So, dude, it's the funniest story. So I send a quick, "Hey Aldo, my name's Jack Frost." Blah blah blah. Dude, I wasn't looking for anything but to say, "Man, I'm so pumped that you're back. I'm a bit of a big fan. I mean, major influence. Like there wouldn't be Bon Jovi without you." And people don't get that because that first Bon Jovi record, he was in the studio, dude. There's a lot of stuff that's never said, and I don't really care. John, I mean, John could sue me right now, but I know a lot of the facts about early Bon Jovi and Aldanova. Like I know a lot of facts. So I send him this email. I'm never going to hear back, right? 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
5 minutes.
Jeez.
Is this really Jack Frost? I go, yeah. He goes, what's your Facebook thing? I go, I don't have a Facebook. He's like, what do you mean you don't have a Facebook? I go, dude, I didn't even like growing up. I didn't even have a computer. I had web TV. That's
Mhm.
how like I wasn't in like my parents would buy me a nice guitar, but wouldn't buy me a computer. I never got that. It was always so like, all right, that's cool. So what I did was, he goes, get an account to make sure it's you. I'm like, all right. So I go online, I make a quick account. I put my dog Cooper up there, a picture of it, because I didn't want to get, I got kids. I kind of keep my, I keep my personal life. I just don't think that's really business for people. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the type that look what I had for dinner today. I'm just not. And don't get me wrong, people have their, God bless them, man. If that's what they're into, that's cool. I'm just not about that.
Yeah.
So I do the thing, and then he's like, "Well, how do I know it's really you?" So I go in my studio, I take my phone, I go, "Hey Aldo, it's really me. How you doing? Go send me your number." Okay, calls me up, dude. I'm not lying to you. 3 hours later, we're just talking. I felt like I knew him for 100 years. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. We hang up. About an hour later, he calls me back. Okay, so you're in the band. I go, what are you talking about? What band? He goes, you're my new guitar player. Said, he goes, what are you doing right now? I said, well, I was playing with John Beauvoir a little bit. I mean, I was doing a couple of different things, but nothing. The gigs were more like, you play 2-3 times a year, and like
Hmm. Hmm.
that's really it. I mean, that's all we were doing. Like we'll play melodic rock, or we'll go to Germany, play a show. It was fun. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong. I said, Yeah, I'm totally in. So then he goes to me, well, here's my problem. I've been at it for 28 years. I don't know if people know this, but he was a music director for Cyndi Lauper.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, so he wrote a bunch of he's got Grammys. He wrote songs for Celine Dion. So after he stopped touring, after Blood on the Bricks,
Hmm.
he had a whole nother career that people
Wow.
don't even know about. Like the guy's a musical genius. He's an amazing songwriter. The guy can write 30 songs a day.
Wow.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
So he goes, listen, Jack, I really looked you up. I really like what you have to offer. You seem like you have a lot of friends in the industry. I'm like, like I have a lot of boys, my bros.
Hmm.
He's like, can you help me put a band together? Here's a guy who doesn't even know me, but he has faith. So I'm like, sure. Goes, know any bass players? I'm like, I got the guy for you. Send him a link to Dario.
Hmm.
He goes, oh my God, this guy's awesome. And we had a different keyboard player first.
Hmm.
Just we had two guys, like it just didn't work out with the first guy. There was just the other guy was in another band at the time, and it just wouldn't have worked. So he knew about Michael. I sent him Michael T. Ross's link. That was it. That's how the band became.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
unfortunately, we couldn't do nothing for the first year
Hmm.
because COVID. It was locked down. But he
Right.
flew me and Dario to Montreal, and we shot three. I'm gonna say $100,000 videos. Like that's what it felt like. It was like Wayne Isham. Like remember like the Bon Jovi videos and all that
Yeah.
stuff. It was that vibe. Like you can look them up. There's tons of videos like real videos.
Hmm.
But he thought that was a good way to break the band in, and we couldn't tour.
Yeah.
And then a year later, we haven't stopped since.
Wow. That's incredible. And I know I saw you guys for the first time. We kind of met in passing was at Monsters on the Mountain or the Mountain Music Festival, whatever they call it now. But on the ship is when we actually got a chance to have a conversation, and that's when I
Yeah,
realized what we've been talking about this whole time is how big of a fan you still are of what you're doing. Because as soon as we started riffing back and forth about Dog Eat Dog from Warrant, I was like, I really like this guy.
because nobody even knows that record. They're like, what's that
Right.
record? I was
Right.
like,
As soon as that conversation happened, I was like, oh, that's awesome. Because now the reason why I wanted to segue into that moment was because on the ship, Aldenova, you guys are performing a couple of nights, but also you did the Rare Hair Jam. And I believe that you were doing Kiss, correct?
I did. Well, there was two different days, right? Like,
Yes.
right. So the first, Tyson Leslie,
Yes.
he is awesome, dude. What a sweetheart. Like, what a musician, dude. What a
Yeah.
musician. I mean, there was one time that he was playing bass, keyboards, and singing. I'm like,
Yes.
I can't even tie my shoes that easy. I'm just like, wow, that was great. So it all came like when we were about to do the cruise, someone told me, oh, there's this rare hair thing, blah, blah. It's really cool. You'd probably be into it.
Hmm.
So April, she's one of the organizers on the cruise. April, she's
Yep.
like, I think Larry's right hand. I mean, I can't say for a fact, but I know she is a big part of it.
Hmm.
And she was so nice to me at Monsters of the Mountain. Um, I reached out to her and said, hey, I'd be really into checking this out. She goes, oh, wait, I'll give you Tyson's email. He'll love to talk to you. Tyson hits me up. He goes, how many songs you want to do? I'm like, that easy, huh? He's like, oh, dude, it'd be great. So he put me on the Human League and AHA on the first day.
Ah,
So it
yes.
was cool because, you know, again, growing up with the 80s hair, AHA and Human League, those bands were, that was like, you had Winger 17, number one, but right underneath it, you had AHA Take On Me, number 9 or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it's like you
Hmm.
had Madonna and Winger, like in the same countdown. So the second day we did the rare hair, like more of the metal. I did uh a Too Fast for Love with
That's right.
which was to me like, okay, here's a fanboy moment. I find out that I'm playing with Jimmy from Kicks. Okay.
Hmm.
Gotta understand something. Where I live, Kicks was the quintessential rock band. Like Cinderella, Britney Fox, Heaven's Edge, Tease, there would no be them if it wasn't for Kicks.
Oh
They were
yeah.
the band. Oh, dude, they were spinning the guitars. They were. There was a band called the Dead End Kids.
Mhm.
They were the first band that kind of did it, but they came up at the same time as Kicks. So we would drive to Hammerjacks in Baltimore to see Kicks. Frostbite got to open up for Kicks a couple of times.
Oh wow.
So I go up to Jimmy. I go, "Hey man, this is a great honor." He's like, "Oh, dude, thank you so much." I go, "No, dude, I've been a Kicks fan. Like, I learned so much for you." And you just saw the smile in his face. He was just like, "Wow, man, thank you so much." He goes, "Well, how you want to do this song?" And I'm like, "All right, here we go." So it was, and then great bass player Sean McNabb played bass on the song. And then the next song we did, this was really cool for me because I love Todd Kearns.
Yeah.
So, and I tell you, man, I have this love for Canada. Like all the bands, like when I first got the Aldo Nova gig, I'm knocking off names, Harem, Scarum, Sid, they're like, what do you know these bands? Like, I mean, like, Headpins, I mean,
Mhm.
Slick Toxic, like these bands that I love. And there's this great band called Sven Galley that
Yeah.
they should have been as big as Skid Row. They had that vibe. So he goes to me, well, it's going to be Todd Kearns. And me and Todd became buddies because we played shows with, I never get this right. Do you pronounce it Took or Toke? Like I always,
See, I say toke, but I don't know if I'm right.
because I always think it's Toke, like, when you're toking,
Yeah, yeah.
or it's Took, yeah, I was always laughing. It's like, say what you want to say. But, dude, I wear my shirt all the time because I love it because he gave me one. I go,
Yeah.
this is cool. So, and then it was Sem, the bass player from Vandenberg's band.
Yeah.
And I just saw Vandenberg like a week before, and their tour manager, Ralph, became such a nice guy. So it was really cool. And then we had this 14-year-old prodigy drummer, Kobe Reese, was on
Yes.
drums. So it was just so, and Tyson was playing guitar with me. So
Mhm.
it was awesome, man. Like that was, don't get me wrong, and I don't want to downplay the Aldo Nova thing because that was great, but
Mhm.
that's my day gig. That's my gig. It's just fun to go play with other guys that
Yeah.
there's no, dude, there's no, let's work on this. How you want to end it? It's just, it could be a train wreck or it could be, and usually it's just so much fun. And you could see, I think, I feel Tesla, Vandenberg,
Mhm.
all these bands like Night Ranger. I mean, Piercy, Queensryche, great shows to see. Great,
Mhm.
phenomenal. Like to me, Hurricane and Cold Sweat
Mm.
just blew me away. Like I love Cold Sweat. I love Roy's voice. The rhythm section of Lynch Mob,
Oh
ridiculous.
yeah.
I mean, Jimmy's just, I didn't realize how much of a monster Jimmy is. Just wow.
I know it.
So to me, I noticed like the fans, like, you had Roxy playing drums, you had everybody, like, and no egos, no egos at all. Just let's go up and have a good time. And I
Yeah.
think fans really appreciated that because they're like, well, these guys are pros and they're just going for it, like jamming, like in a room with their friends.
Yeah.
That I think it's probably one of the highlights of that cruise is that whole, not just me getting to play it, but watching everybody else. It was fun watching like, a shred player playing like, I don't know, Dire Straits. It's like weird,
Yeah.
like Prince or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Those
girls were
jams.
burning witches and stuff. It's just,
Oh
it,
yeah.
it's great.
Those jams are so fun, and it's like little mini super groups. Like you go through and it's like super group after super group, and we just had Tyson on the show, and like he was saying, you'll never see those combinations ever again. So like people make sure they like rush out to watch it because it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
you know.
And the fans are so cool. They post it and they,
Hmm.
you know, and I gotta say, man, the cool thing about the cruise, there's no rock stars.
Hmm.
You're literally, I could be in an elevator with a million people, and everybody's just. I've noticed too, like I know some guys that got some egos.
Hmm.
I'm eating dinner. Don't bother me.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if you have that much of a problem, then don't be a musician, okay? If a fan, you know, I can understand. Listen, if you're with your family, you're eating dinner, you want to get a picture, that's fine. That's cool. But you know,
Mhm.
some guys are a little overwhelming with us, you know, it's like, but
Yeah.
again, sit down, man, hang out, bring your plate over here. I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
want to talk about music? I'm into it. But you know, I think the cool thing about the cruise is I hate to call them fans because to
Mhm.
me they're not fans. They're the family. Everyone's a
Mhm.
family on that boat, and I feel that everybody is together, and you just enjoy it. Like you're having fun meeting them, they're having fun meeting you, and
Mhm.
you're all equal. You know what? You go up on stage, and when you're done, hey, will you sign this? Will you sign that? Yes. Take 2 minutes of your life to do that because they spent a lot of money to see you. And I think it's so cool because, you know, what was that old expression? Sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I've had a couple of times that that has definitely come in my passing where
Mhm.
I was like, well, I wish I never met that person because it crushed me.
Yeah.
Like perfect example, John Sykes,
Mhm.
one of my favorite. I'm so sad of his passing.
Mhm.
I was told from many people, you're not going to want to meet John Sykes, but my friend introduced me to him. Dude, I became one of the close friend of his. He let
Mhm.
me play his Black Les Paul. We would text each other, and
Wow.
that's how much of a respect. He was such a lovely, wonderful human being, because he he goes, "Come on, Jack, want to check out my guitar?" I'm like, you're Black Beauty that's been on everything since Tigers of Pantang." So sometimes you meet a guy like that, you're like, that's why when he passed away, it hit me so hard.
Mhm.
Um, and then you got these guys that you meet and you're like,
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, sorry,
Yeah.
like bothered you, but, and I'm not going to say who, but unfortunately, it's somebody that we all grew up loving.
Well, and that's the worst of it too, is because then it almost like it hits you mentally where you're like you don't even want to listen to their music anymore because you're like, oh, he was such a jerk, and it like ruins the music for you for a little while. You know what I mean?
It
Like
does.
you hear a song and you're like, oh, I used to love that song. Turn it off. Like,
Right, right.
you
But
know?
then you know what? You got to go get past it because you're like, you know
Yes.
what? I had this too. And like, listen, dude, I've learned one thing in this industry: sex, religion, and politics. I don't have views, okay? I
Hmm.
have my views. I'm not going to post my views. I don't want
Hmm.
to get hammered. I'm not going to shove anything down your throat. I have my opinion. And I have guys I play with that, you know, me and some, I have my dear friend in my band. We have two major left right opinions. But you
Hmm.
know what? We love each other so much as friends. We don't care. When
Right.
we're here, we just know, you know what? Let's not talk about that because
Yeah.
that's your opinion. And you know what? With the whole, you know, presidency and all that stuff went on, I watched so many people stop talking to each other
I know it.
over, you know, like who's going to be president, who's not going to be president. And you watch these artists, and like, I'm probably going to get hammered for saying this. I think artists should shut their mouths. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And please don't be mad at me out there, but I'm being honest with you. Stay in your lane. You're a
Hmm.
musician. Talk about music.
Hmm.
Don't, because you know what? Your views sometimes, not everyone's going to like your views. It's going to hurt you. Your crew is going to hurt you.
Yeah,
And I
I
feel it
agree.
does. I feel it does. And it's like a couple of times things went weird. Like, I'm like, wow. I mean, I love Stevie Nicks, okay?
Hmm.
Love Stevie Nicks. And she had some views that I was kind of like, wow, I'm not going to ever listen to her again. And I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, I love Fleetwood. I'm not going to listen to Fleetwood
Yeah.
Mac anymore. It's
Right.
like, but you're right. Because, dude, I had one really bad experience at NAM one year. It crushed me, dude. You know, 13-year-old kid looking up to somebody,
Yeah.
and not because of who I am, I should get respect because it's like I'm at your level. Well, I'm not at your level. You're a billionaire, okay? You know, I got $20 in my wallet. I'm good. All right. So I, I'm just saying, like, I feel that really hurts, man.
Yeah.
And to this day, that one person, I'm always like, man, I never want to be that guy.
Hmm. No, absolutely. And it's funny how such positive people, like, they leave such a mark on you too. And I'll put my feud with Joey Casada on hold for 1 second just to tell you this story because I know that
I
that
love
you
that dude.
yeah, because I know you know Joey and you love him too.
He's a good dude, man.
The first time I ever met Joey, I was 17 years old.
Yep.
And he left such a positive impact on me with the way that he carried himself and the way that he was towards me that, fast forward this many years later, and we're buddies when we're not fighting each other online and making stupid videos about how much we hate each other. But
But that makes it fun. A little.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So, but it's just little things like that where somebody within the industry leaves like a positive impact on you, and then little did you know that they were going to have, something to do with what you have going on later in your life, and it's really cool when things like that happen.
Oh, of course.
Now, so this next part of the interview is when we start wrapping it up. So this is called the lightning round, and this has zero to do with your entire career, and this is just fun questions for people listening to just get to know you aside from
Awesome.
music and things like
That's
that.
awesome. That's cool.
And of course, it's named after Brit Lightning because she was the first one to do it. So,
Brit's awesome, dude.
so first question: do you prefer? And I know the answer to this because of where you live, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you prefer New York or Chicago style pizza?
Wow. I'm gonna get hammered. Ready? Here it comes. Well, I'm the health freak, so I don't eat a lot. I mean, I don't eat a lot of carbs. But dude, I'm sorry, Chicago pizza rocks.
You caught me off guard.
I knew you were gonna like. Don't get me wrong. I could probably never work at Ray's Pizza in New York again. I'm gonna get shot. But I love, dude. I'm sorry. Ain't nothing like that thick. Oh, I love the crust.
All right, fair. Do you prefer dinner or dessert?
I was a little fat kid. So what do you think? I love, I love my carrot cake.
All right. Now, here's a weird question for you. We'll see. Everybody answers this one so differently. It's funny. But let's say you're going through the Bermuda Triangle. I don't know if you're superstitious or not. Are you flying or are you taking a boat, and why?
Probably since I've been on 3 cruises now, I'm probably taking a boat.
All right. Fair, because you'll be jamming.
I'll be jamming.
Do you prefer chocolate or vanilla?
Oh, vanilla all the way.
Horror movies or comedies?
Ooh, can I change that whole thing?
Yeah.
This will blow people's mind. I'm a Hallmark lover. Okay,
No
so
way.
I'm a rom com guy. I will sit at home in July and watch Christmas in July 24. I get made fun of so much, dude. I get abused. They're like my Starbucks and my Hallmark movies. I have a Hallmark blanket. I
Oh,
have
man.
socks. Oh yeah, it's all about it, baby.
Listen, everybody knows I'm like this huge horror movie guy, but I knew that me and you were going to be friends, and now you confirmed it because I'm a huge Christmas movie guy, including the Hallmark movies. So I'm with you on that one.
Dude. But you know what's the problem now? Everyone's Netflix,
Yeah.
family, they're all biting the same movie. It's like, wait a minute, that was a Hallmark movie last year. You
Yep.
can't do that.
I know it. I know it. Everybody's jumping on the train. It caught
Oh
on.
yeah.
All right. If I asked you what your favorite movie of all time was, do you have one?
Wow. That's tough, dude. Wow. Wow, that's a tough one. Like, because there's so many different genres.
Yeah.
Like, favorite movie of all. Yeah, I can give it to you.
What do we got?
There's a to be there. Like it's hard. You ready?
Yep.
Eddie and the Cruisers 2. Eddie
Oh.
Lives. Hands down, one of my favorite movies. And honestly, Coming to America.
Oh,
That's a
yeah.
tough. I mean, I could say every line like perfect.
Oh, man. Oh, when you said Cold Sweat, my mind immediately went to Wayne's World because,
You know what? I don't know if you know this, but you know what Mark Ferrari does on his side?
no.
He he does a lot. Watch a Hallmark movie and look music. I
Oh,
went I went
wow.
up to him. We were watching Hurricane, okay? I go, Mark, I hate you. He goes, why? What's that mean? I go, you get to do those Hallmark movies. He's like, starts to crack up. He's like, oh my God, you knew that? I go, well, Roy and Anthony are my buddies, and I go, dude, anytime you have an opening and you need guitars, call me. I'll do it for nothing. I just and I don't
Dude.
know if you know this, like we spend a lot of time in Canada touring.
Yeah.
Basically, all those movies are filmed in Canada,
Oh, yes, I did know that. Yeah.
like right above Vancouver. Like
Yes.
it's like you look at it like that's Canada.
Hmm. Yeah. That is
Dude,
actually, that
you're
is something I
awesome.
knew.
You're awesome.
And I got to say too, when we walked away from talking to Mark, the first thing I'd said, like there was no conversation happening. We're just walking, and I just lean over in Roxy's ear, and I go, "Wayne's World," and she just starts laughing. I couldn't help myself. I just love those movies.
Yeah, they're great.
Uh,
Dude, Roxy's so cool. Like I said, oh, I think I'm gonna come to the show, and like I was gonna, I never want to ask anybody to be on a list, but
mhm.
I find out my best friend is working for Carlos
Piercy.
and for Anthony. Right,
Yeah.
but he's working for Matt and for Carlos. Like he's
Hmm.
teching. He goes, oh, you should come up. It'd be cool. I'm like, oh my god, I could see Julie, I could see Britt. I became buddies with Rosa now because I didn't know that she knows Aldo. She calls him Uncle Aldo. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I had no idea. And like Angie, my drummer, like he knows Rosa for 100 years. So,
Hmm.
and I mean, I know Britt, dude. Like since she was I'm older. I mean, I know Britt since she was a kid. Like
Hmm.
her and my friend Metal Mike are really good friends, and like I'm not sure like if this is correct, but I think Mike kind of gave her lessons back in the
Oh,
day.
wow.
Maybe I'm pretty sure, but I mean, and Mike's a Berkeley guy, so
Uh,
and dude, I love talking to you guys. It was just so much fun because we just started to
Music.
yak. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
music.
Roxy said to me, she goes, I had a brain fart. She goes, I didn't even realize who you were at first. Like you're talking to Robby and stuff, and she goes, oh my god, that's Jack. She goes, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's fine. It's like, dude, you meet so many people. It's like it's.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it. Well, let's stay on the Eldo thing really quick because I want to know before we wrap this up what you guys got coming up next, what's going on, and then aside from that, what do you have going on, if anything, that you could tell
Sure.
us about? Because I don't want you to spill anything that you're not ready to talk about yet.
Nah,
But you know,
I can. It's
okay.
cool. Um, so we got back. I guess we did really well. It seems we're getting a lot of calls. Of course, we're with BTE, same as Vixen, Sullivan,
Hmm.
Sullivan
Yes.
Big. I love him. He's a great agent, takes really good care of us. So we've got about 20, 25 dates coming up. A lot haven't been released yet because, as you know, my drummer and Aldo are Canadian, so they
Hmm.
have to get their visas. It's a little bit of things that we don't want to spill the beans, but we're doing the '80s cruise next year. We
Oh,
already know
love
we
that.
locked into that. We're hoping that we get invited back to the Monsters cruise because that was so much fun. And even if we don't, I told Tyson, call me. I love to come play just to wear hair and anything. And you know, so we have a lot of dates coming up. I know we have some dates with Slaughter. We
Mm.
have some dates with Queensryche. We're doing this mid Western show in July. Some amphitheater outside with
Hmm.
Pretty Boy Floyd. That'll be a
Oh,
lot of fun.
wow.
So, yeah, I was saying to Roxy, it'd be great if we could do some like Aldenova Vixen shows because it's really funny because Julie's Brazilian,
Yeah.
Dario's Brazilian.
Yeah.
It's weird. Rose is Canadian, Aldo and Angie are Canadian, and
Right.
we're Americans. It's just a little. It's she was like, I go, it's just weird. What's the chances of that? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just
And Rosa and Aldo are both also Italian.
yes, and so
Yeah.
is Angie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they speak this French, Italian,
Yes.
Canadian. Like when they
Yes.
start talking, I'm like, guys, what do you? I mean, I could because my grandparents are right from Sicily, so
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, I can pick up words just because my mother used to curse me out in Italian, but and all my aunts were, they were all speaking Italian,
Yeah.
so I could hear a word, dude, and I mean minus,
Yeah.
minus.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. And then when they start breaking the French in there,
Yeah.
I'm like, the hell you guys talking about?
Yep, I know it because me and Roxy are both Italian too. And
Um,
like, so before I get you out of here, I want you to plug your social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, whatever you have, just so
right.
people who don't follow you already can.
Okay.
And of course, then I will see you in a few days.
the bass. So you asked me about what's going on besides Aldanova.
Yes.
So Seven Witches is basically we no disrespect, I love the band. We've been through three, four, almost five singers.
Mhm.
We're gonna put it to rest. It was a lot of fun, but I don't want to get another singer. So I have a new record coming out. We're not 100% sure we're gonna call it yet, but I wrote a bunch of songs for Seven Witches. So the cat's out of the bag. Here it comes. Me and my dear friend Jason McMasters from Dangerous Toys is the
Wow.
singer.
Yeah.
Um, Dennis Hayes from Seven Witches, he also was in Iced Earth, is the bass player. And Carl Wilcox from Diamond Head, yes, Am I Evil Diamond Head, is the
Wow.
drummer. So we signed to Deco Entertainment. We have a 6-song EP coming out. And if you like old school, like Priest, like Painkiller meets Island of Domination, that's what you're going to get.
Wow, that's incredible. And a quick shout out to Jason McMaster. I've had him on the show. Fantastic vocalist, and Dangerous Toys is on the Monsters of Rock cruise next year for
Next year.
anybody who wants to see them. And that
Yep.
is amazing news. So you have to let us know when that record drops so
Yep.
that we could
And
help push it for you.
thank you, man. And then if you go, like, my only social media is my Instagram, but it's all lowercase, one word. It's Jack Frost underscore, right? How you say that?
Underscore, yeah.
Underscore. See, I'm not that guy. So Jack Frost underscore
Underscore.
score 1968. That's my Instagram.
Excellent, man. Well, thank you so much for being here. I feel like I could talk to you for like 4 hours and just put
Yeah,
out like
dude. I mean,
five
like,
episodes.
you said to me like, "Oh, we'll do 30 minutes." Yeah, I'm like, sure we will. But I
Yeah.
mean, come on, bro.
Well, and again, thank you for being here because this was so much fun.
Thanks for taking your time out on a Sunday.
Dude, you know what? I'll tell you this. Sometimes we do like breakdowns of like albums when it comes up to their like anniversary releases and stuff like that. And if it's an album that you're super into, I'm gonna invite you back and we can do it together.
Dude, call me anytime. I'm always into stuff. This is fun.
All right, man. Thank you again.
Be good, brother. See you.